All right, if you did an okay job on 8.2, then this lesson's going to be easy and super fast. So basically what it says is we're going to take everything that we learned in 7.1 and 7.2 with inequalities, and we're going to go back and we're going to do this now with polynomials. And actually, this shouldn't be 7.1, 7.2. This was 7.6, I think it was. Anyway, inequalities. It doesn't really matter. So here's what I know. I'm going to look at this, I'm going to graph it, and then I'm going to go back and do my inequality thing. So let me talk about everything that I know. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. All right, so the first thing that I know is this is a degree of 6, and it's positive, positive, positive. So it's positive. So even positive is going to be up, up. And my zeros happen, let me write this down here, my zeros happen at 0, 2, and -3. So if I go down here, I have a 0 at 0, I have 1 at -3, and I have a 0 at +2. Okay, I know my end behavior is up, up. So now I have to look at my multiplicities. So at -3, I'm going to cross, and then at 0, I'm going to bump, and then at 2, I've got a funky cross going on. So that's what this looks like. All right. So now we go back to what we did with inequalities. And here I know that what I care about is when my graph is less than or equal to 0. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to highlight the section of my graph that is less than 0. Now, because this is less than or equal to 0, it's going to include those points. So all of this underneath my graph is what I care about. So I'm going to start at -3, and I'm going to go to +2, and I have a bracket because it is less than or equal to. So that's why I have a bracket. Okay, so like I said, this is not new. We've done this before. We're just putting it all together. So if I go over here, I have 3, 4, 5. So this is a degree of 5. And my x's are all positive, so it's positive odd. So positive odd is down up. My zeros happen at 4, 1, and -3. So at -3, I have a multiplicity of 3. So multiplicity of 3, remember, is a flat cross. So if I go in here, I have -3, +1, and +4. All right, so I have a flat cross at -3. That's the first number that I come to. So I have this flat cross here, and then I cross through, and I cross through, and I have down, up. So that works. All right, now what I care about is everything that is greater than 0. So this is greater than 0, and this is greater than 0. Okay, now remember, it is not including 0, right? It's only greater than. So I'm going to start at -3. All of this is greater than. I'm going to end at 1, but 0 is not included, so these are both parentheses. Parentheses. And then I start again at 4, and I go to infinity. Okay, now what you'll notice is that we don't need our y-axis at all. So if you want to write this with just your x-axis, that's fine. That's all we care about. So this one's a little harder. So what has to happen here? I have to factor this. So go way back. What has to happen when I have 4 factors? So when I have 4 terms, I'm going to factor this by grouping. So if you remember what that means, we're going to look at our greatest common factor between terms. So I'm going to look at the first 2 terms here. My greatest common factor is a 4. So if I pull a 4 out, I have x plus 5. Now I'm going to look at my next 2 terms. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull out a negative x squared. So I don't have a number, so I can't pull out a 5, but I can pull out a -1. So I want to do that. Then I have 2 x's and 3 x's, so I can pull out an x squared. So what's left is 5 plus x. Okay, now because these are addition, this says x plus 5 and this says 5 plus x, but these 2 terms are the same. I can rewrite this as x plus 5 because I'm not changing anything. I'm not changing, this is positive and this is positive, so all I'm doing is changing out the order. So if you remember how we do this, we pull out our factor, so that's x plus 5, and that what's left is 4 minus x squared. All right, so if I have 4 minus x squared, this is a perfect square. This is a difference of squares. So x plus 5 stays, and this is going to be 2 minus x and 2 plus x. And this whole thing is less than 0. So this one's tricky. We got a lot of things going on. You got to really go back to what we did earlier when we were factoring by grouping. So now let's talk about where my zeros are. I have a 0 here at x equals negative 5. I have a 0 here, and that's going to happen at x equals 2. And this is going to be x equals negative 2. All right, so you can do the math if you need to. Remember, set your terms equal to 0. I'm going to go back up here to the top, and I see my biggest power is 3, and it's negative. So negative odd is up, down. So on my number line, I have negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, negative 5. Negative 2 goes here, and positive 2 goes here. If this was my, hold on, oh my gosh. See, this is why I always draw that. Negative 5, 4, 3, 2. This is negative 1. This is 0. This is 1, and this is 2. There we go. So my zeros happen at negative 5, negative 2, and positive 2. They're all multiplicity of 1. So remember, I start up, down. So I'm going to go through, 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 and I end up with this. All right, so what do I want? I want everything that is less than 0. So this is less than 0, and this is less than 0. Now, if you remember, this is not less than or equal to. It's just less than 0. So because of that, I have negative 5 to negative 2. Those are parentheses because they're not included. And then I start again at 0, and I go to infinity. All right, last one. So if I look at this, it's not factored. I have to factor it. I'm going to look at this biggest term. So it is odd positive. So odd positive is going to be down, up. So if I look at this, I can't pull out a number because I have odds and evens in the same thing here. That doesn't work. So I'm going to pull out just an x. And when I do that, I have 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. And this is greater than or equal to 0. So this guy, I have to do trial and error. And so I'm going to have 6, so plus 2, plus 2. Okay, so we see these are the same. I'm going to rewrite this, and I'm going to say 3x plus 2 squared. So I have a multiplicity of 2. So on this one, this term right here is going to be a bump. It's even multiplicity. So with an even multiplicity, it's a bump. So my zeros happen at x equals 0 and x equals negative 2/3. Okay, so we can do that. It doesn't matter. I have this point here at 0. That's this one. This is negative 1. So if I want negative 2/3, it's going to be right here. So not quite negative 1. All right, so I know that this is positive odds, so I'm going to end up here and here. And we just said that this value here is going to be my bump. So I'm going to bump at that and then cross at 0. All right, last step. Last step is that I have this greater than or equal to 0. So greater than or equal to 0 is here. However, this is a tricky one. It equals 0. So if it equals 0, I have to include that point as well. All right, so what does my answer look like? My answer is negative 2/3, which is just that point. And then I go over here and say 0 to infinity. So if you remember, if we just have a single point, we use those braces. Now, you could also use brackets on that. Technically, when we just have one single value, we would use braces, but you wouldn't be wrong if you used brackets. All right, that was it.